Okay, so I've written my first movie review in several years. I don't know how long. I think Blade Runner 2049, also directed by Denis Villeneuve, was the last review that I wrote, if I recall right. And my movie reviews now, any of them from henceforth, will only be available to paid subscribers on my Substack, which is only $5 a month. The same price as one of these. So I think you can afford it if you really want to. You can also get a yearly subscription for $80. So there'll be a lot more articles to come here. My first acquaintance with Dune, just to go back a bit, I don't talk about any of this in the essay, but I want you to subscribe, so I'm not going to tell you what the essay is about. But I will say this, my first acquaintance with Dune was back as a young high school kid. I had just entered high school the year Frank Herbert died, 1986. Of course, I was completely unaware of that. And I started reading Dune as one of my first forays into the genre of science fiction because hitherto I'd grown up since about the age of 8 reading only comic books and Stephen King novels, and then branching out from Stephen King to other horror fiction writers like Ramsey Campbell and Clive Barker, people like that. But I got curious about Dune one day and checked it out from the library, the public library, sat down, started reading, and could not stop. And then I proceeded through all 6 of Herbert's original novels, Dune, and then Dune Messiah, which, as everybody agrees, is not very good. It's short and it reads like an appendix to Dune, so you just kind of have to zip through that. I'm not sure. Dune was a success, although a slow, gradual one. I think initially he only made $20,000 off it, and it took him a while for it, especially when Lynch's 1984 film came out, that sent him over the top. But he wrote these sequels. Dune Messiah isn't very good, but Children of Dune is good, and so he got it back again. And if you do want to see, if you don't have time to read the 3 novels and you want to see all 3 of them in cinematic version, the Sci-Fi Channel did do a version in the year 2000 that goes through Dune, all the way through Dune Messiah and Children of Dune. It's watchable, but that's about all I can say for the Sci-Fi Channel's version. The sets look like they're made out of cardboard. The costumes look like costumes. The acting is bad. Even William Hurt, who plays Duke Leto in it, gives his worst ever performance. Completely lackluster. But anyhow, so I read the 6 initial novels, and after Children of Dune, I believe, comes Heretics of Dune, if I remember right, and then, comes God Emperor of Dune. How could I forget that one? And that's one of my favorites because as you read these novels, they take place over the course of tens of thousands of years, so that by the time you get to God Emperor of Dune, the planet is no longer a desert, it's a verdant green oasis, because it has been planetarily engineered for that, and the only desert left has been put on a special preserve in one part of the planet, and the Emperor there, who is the child, at the end of Children of Dune, who creates an exoskeleton by putting baby sandworms that link together all over his body, which preserves his life over the course of these tens of thousands of years, so that by the time you get to him, he's a kind of sci-fi version of a sphinx. In other words, he's a sandworm with a human face, and there is a woman who I believe is a descendant of the Atreides, if I remember right. It's been since high school since I've read it. And he takes her out into the desert to be a mentor for her and to initiate her into the ways of these ancient systems that the planet is now losing. Then it moves into Heretics of Dune, and then finally Chapter House Dune. Heretics is pretty good, actually. Chapter House is not as good. And he had intended to write a 7th novel to try and close the series and tie up all the loose ends, because there are a lot of them by the time you get to Chapter House Dune. But he died before he could do that. And so his son has continued them. I haven't read any of those. I'm not going to read any of those. It sounds too much like a cash cow operation going on there. So that's my initial acquaintance with Dune. And when the film came out in 1984 with David Lynch's version of it, I and pretty much everyone else was disappointed with it. It has its moments. There are beautiful scenes in it. There's some cool stuff in it, but overall it doesn't hold together very well. And I don't think that space opera is Lynch's cup of tea. I don't think he understood the genre, and I don't think he got it right. Although I still do like watching it every now and then. I've probably seen it 10 times over the course of the years since 1984. And there are things about it that I do appreciate and like quite a bit, especially the costumes and the production design with the sets. It's visually very, very pleasing to look at. But the editing and the directing is pretty awkward. And then we have the Sci-Fi Channel's version, of course, which came out, as I say, around the year 2000. And now we have Denis Villeneuve's version, which has just premiered night before last. And all I'm going to say at this point about the content of the essay is that my initial reaction to it wasn't good, but I went back last night and rewatched it, and my thoughts are contained in the essay. So I want you to subscribe to that and see why and how I've had a change of heart about it. I do private astrology readings for those who are interested. Hit me up at johndavidebert@gmail.com. Patreon contributions are always, subscriptions are always welcome too, to help keep larger series going, like the Faust series that we're still working on right now. All right, that's it. Hope to see you on Substack.